How's everybody doing out there today? Welcome to the show. This is Nothing But Facts, and I'm your host, Papa G. So let's get it.
Get a job and work, that shit didn't work. Say all I'm qualified to do is rhyme and spit a verse. Get my feelings hurt every time I sit in church. Real talking dead at me, nigga got me feeling worse. So I ain't congregating about 7 or 8 months. Broke the promise made to myself and started back blazing blunts. I know that's crazy, huh? Feeling like a bad man. I look at me in the mirror, all I see is my dad, man. I got some things that I need to address. Couple issues need to get off my chest. Like the fact that got a son, I ain't been kicking it with him. Got him a ball, I ain't been pitching it with him. Yeah, I miss my little nigga. I try to get him, but me and his mama don't get along. I mean, I call, but the bitch when I pick up the phone, my therapist asked me what I do, the things that I does. Got up, looked her in the eye, and my reply was,
All right. Let's get started with today's show. How's everybody doing out there? I'm your host, Papa G, and I'm very excited about today's show. All right, today's show is entitled Men. It's time for us to take our rightful place. So let's get it. We're going to start out with our prayer. We're in Lamentations chapter 3, verses 64 through 66, if you're interested. And it reads, Render unto them a recompense, O Lord, according to the work of their hands. Give them sorrow of heart, thy curse unto them. Persecute and destroy them in anger from under the heavens of the Lord. May the Lord add a blessing to the hearing, receiving, and doing of his word. You know, like I said, I'm excited about today's show because I believe, men, it's time for us to take our rightful place. You understand? You know, at this show, we believe in nothing but facts. So we got to start out by talking about our community conversation here. What is our community conversation about? It's about exposing the bully. And who is the bully? The bully is the Attorney General, child support, family court, all right? The state, federal, local government, the minister at your church. And you know, I'm going to keep on covering how these entities are our enemy, how these entities are the goddamn bully. Okay, so we're going to start out with our own home, okay, here in America and in our churches and everywhere. You done seen this. Everybody done seen this picture before, right? Everybody done seen this picture before, right? So we all know who they say that is, right? Right? They say that's our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? That's a GDL, okay? That man name, who I just showed you, his name is Caesar Borgia. Well, his name was Caesar Borgia. He was born September 13, 1475 at Cerbico near Rome and was the son of Cardinal Roderick Borgia and his Italian mistress, Vandoza di Canetti. All right? That picture that you saw was commissioned by his homosexual lover. He commissioned Michelangelo to draw that, to make that portrait of his lover for him. And he was killed in 1507 in an ambush in Spain. All right. So we understand that the enemy is so vicious that they have been trying to destroy and lead us astray since way back in the early 1400s. They didn't want the truth to be circulated. All right. And what did they do? They gave us a painting, an idol. That's a lie. This is used to turn a lot of young black men off away from being saved so that we can have them out in the street committing ravages and out here with buck breaking on automatic. Okay. And if you don't know what buck breaking is, I'm going to cover that in today's show. All right. Because we have now what started as something that was unnatural and not right to us. Okay? What is a black buck? Good question. A black buck was considered a black slave who was just too unruly, just too masculine, just too strong. He was not going to bend to the white man's rule in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So it was only one way for them to get control of this buck, because the rest of the slaves were seeing this and they were willing to follow this buck. Okay? So what they did is they resorted to something that is natural in their culture, but they know is repulsive and repugnant in our culture. That's how come they started introducing it to us as a fear tactic, as something to keep us in line, to keep us straight. So what would happen is a non-melanated person who had a melanated person subjugated, I'm going to speak clinically and I'm going to speak correct. I'm going to speak around the inappropriate words that should not be said on the broadcast. So you had a non-melanated person, a descendant of Lot, who had came and conquered melanated people, and now we're going to introduce them to something in their culture that was going to be shock and horror to the melanated culture. So then they would take this black buck who would not listen, wouldn't work in the field, wouldn't do what they're trying to get him to do, and they would put him in front of all of the slaves. And then the non-melanated male would go and he would do unnatural intercourse with the melanated male, penetrating him in an orifice that was at that time to the melanated people only considered to be something that excrement come out of. We had not thought of trying to ever deposit anything in that area. So for us to witness this vicious feat, this assault, this horrendous thing that happened with this male on male perversion that we hadn't even conceived, you understand me? Because Lot had taken this away to the Caucasus Mountains with his people. All right. So now they're coming back in contact with us and they're introducing us to this. And you can imagine the horror when the blood is running down the man's leg and the man is screaming and hollering and this other animal has mounted him and he is just, destroying him as a male figure in front of the others. And then now this big old strong man has to go and lay on his stomach and heal for however long that it takes because of this sick, unnatural thing that has happened to him. But that's called breaking the buck. They understand the psychological damage and what it does to the community that's witnessing it, this heinous, horrible act. So they continue to practice it even up till today. They have it on automatic now. It's accepted in culture. You see, it's on automatic buck breaking. But before, when sodomy was still against the law in this country and we still had some kind of claim on trying to live up to the creed of what we were, the way they would get buck breaking going on is they would lock us up for false charges and all other kind of things, you know what I'm saying? Saying that we were the animals that they are with their women, but that's not what we are. Okay, that's what they are. And they did this to our ladies from the time they put them on the ship till the time, even as they was having them as slaves. But they used that erroneous argument to label us, all right? Because they were ashamed of the act that they were doing. So they put it down on us, right? And then lock us up in an area, in cages, and remove all forms of women. So there can be no contact with the opposite sex. And they knowing that when you take a young person in their prime years, 17 to maybe 30, and you put them in amongst each other, we understand copulation is going to go on in an unnatural form. Okay? And this was the goal, and this goal was achieved, and it sat and incubated behind the penitentiary walls, behind the criminal industrial complex walls for a long period of time. And then finally it got too big to where it just spewed out into mainstream society. And now we're dealing with all of this buck breaking and all of this craziness that's going on in American society today. And it's spewing out of our country and into another country. I mean, into other countries, into other continents. And that's causing us to lose allies, causing us to lose face on the world stage. All right? So, wow, it leave me a little tongue-tied here. I want to talk about another little subject here real quick. Something that happened to me real quick, all right? I logged on, I not logged on, but I just touched my little icon and went to the little Facebook. Now, a Louisiana politician talked about disposing of black life in an illegal manner. This elected official. I'm listening to it because I'm listening to it, looking at videos on the Facebook. Right? So I responded to that bully. You know what I'm saying? And I said, to him basically, yeah, we can clash. And if you thinking white supremacy basically is gonna prevail, there won't be a tree left standing in the state of Louisiana, because we're not just gonna lay down and let y'all run over us and do us what you think you want to do. No, sir. I told him it wouldn't be a blade of grass standing, it wouldn't be a tree standing. Now, if he can talk about illegally bringing innocent people to their demise who haven't done him anything, if I'm going to be suspended for 2 days, shouldn't he be banned? Just my thoughts. All right? But anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand. You see, because what they want is, they want 2 women to be raising a girl, and they want 2 men to be raising a boy. That's an abomination, and that's a lie. Why is it an abomination and a lie? Because if you ask those 2 men who fertilized who inseminated who, now one of them is going to be able to say, I conceived and carried and went into labor and delivered this young man in a 9-month period. And if you go to those 2 ladies and verse the same argument, it can't. Why? Because their thing is not based in reality. So with that being said, y'all know what time it is. It's time to define family. All right? And family is 1 man, 1 woman, and the children that they have. Family is 1 husband, 1 wife, and the offspring that they bring. Family is not 2 men and some children, 2 women and some children. If you have 1 woman or 1 man and some children, that is a single parent household. Okay? This is why we have to stand up as Americans and fight against the Attorney General, against child support, against family court. We have to fight against institutions in America that will try to destabilize us as a country and make us weak as we are on the verge of World War III. Okay? So look, I want to talk to y'all, okay, about something real serious. The real serious thing I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about false prophets. False prophets are your ministers, your preachers, your bishops, your women who say that they teachers when they know they wasn't called to be, and trying to usurp their authority over men. It's America. Okay, so we're going to go over here because, I don't just be running off at the mouth. So we're going to go over here to Romans chapter 1, verse 18. All right? And it just is what it is. And we're going to read 18 to 20. All right? And it says, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men. Did it say of women? No. It said of men. And I want to particularly take the time to stop and point that out, because men, we are the one who received instruction directly from him, not the ladies. So to try to play like that he's not going to be coming back and talking and dealing with us, and trying to play like the ladies got some, well, no, they're going to be in trouble too. But it's going to be a trouble for us, because this place was designed specifically for us, and we also walk around and bear his image. You understand? And if you think he want to see his image with one on top of the other, when they're supposed to not be doing that, you got another thing coming, man. That's why we have to stand up and get this law passed, so that we can have first right of parenthood of our sons. Because a lot of this confusion, and that's just what it is, confusion, will go away, because boys will be able to understand that they are wrestling with sin if they are growing up with their fathers. Okay? Men understand how the penis talks. Men understand if you are highly sexual versus medium sexual versus low sexual, and they can explain it to their sons, because you have a lot of men who are whores, so they understand exactly what their sons are going through. But we won't get a chance to curb this if you do not give fathers their sons. Ladies, join forces with us. Help us to accomplish this. We cannot do this without you. You have to understand that the Attorney General, Child Support, Family Court, all those people is trying to just get free bodies, free labor for the criminal justice complex. They trying to make sure that they keep low-class labor. They just trying to make sure that our children, middle class and poor people children, can never really raise up and compete with the upper class. And you have to understand that the upper class has set this agenda, and those fools are following it. So anyway, we go to 19, and it says, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God had showed it unto them. Who is he talking about? He's talking about those people who stand in the pulpit and have a clear understanding of his word, because he has revealed it to them. But instead, they will choose to have Pastor's Day. They would choose to have Auxiliary Day. They would choose to say, we going to district, so we're not having church on this Sunday. You understand? They choose to make it about something else than his word, like they know everybody in that congregation time and hour, so we can skip this Sunday because all y'all safe. You know what I'm saying? And so this is who it's talking about. So let's get on down to 20. It says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Who is he saying is without excuse? He's saying your minister. He's saying family court. He's saying the Attorney General. He's saying child support. He's saying all of y'all are going to be with no excuse, because the one thing you can clearly say that I said throughout this book is the Father and the Son. And what you do the mother and the son. That don't go. That don't go. That's abomination. That's of the enemy. Why? Because the father is the one who's going to raise the son to have the respect of raising his house with the respect of the Lord. Because he's raising his house with the respect of the Lord. Boys not going to do that because they see their mama doing that. They do that because they see their daddy doing that. Child support, family court, all these entities, they know this. The pastor at your church, they know this. Why you think the pastor do Christmas and Easter? He in league with them folks. They in league with them folks. Why you think they got a cross in that church? They in league with them folks. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I got a question. If a seed is planted and it starts to grow, and it starts to germinate, that is acceptable that the seed has started to grow, right? Because it starts to germinate. Germinate means that it first start pushing out little roots out, you know what I'm saying, out of it. You know what I'm saying? So now we accept that. At first it was just a little seed, a little popcorn seed. But now things are coming out of the shell of the seed because it's been put in fertile soil and it's about to get ready to grow. It is acknowledged that the seed is now growing into a plant. Okay? As long as the seed was in the bag, it was just a seed. But when it opened, it's alive. Now, when the semen fertilizes the egg and the egg does not dispose of itself or expires since it's been fertilized, but instead sticks to the cervix and starts to grow, isn't that life? And if you can acknowledge that a plant has started life from a seed form to moving on to get ready to reproduce more like itself, then why can't you acknowledge life that it has started? Why can't you? Okay, so look here. I want to talk about some other world news today. So in Chicago, all 4 Walmarts in an area closed in the Chicago area. Maybe it was a suburb, I don't know. But the violence and the crime is so bad, the theft is so bad that they closed all 4 of them. They gave them 5 days notice. Walmart gave 5 days notice and rolled out, right? Now, because Chicago does not prosecute for shoplifting, you know what I'm saying? That's what made Walmart have to get ready to go because they losing too much, right? Now, then the Democrats, the politicians, they're on the mic talking to the community. And they talking to them about where we going to go shopping at now, where we going to be able to go and get our stuff from at and everything. Instead of this clown standing up there telling Mr. Brown, Mr. Green, Mr. Blue, hey, let's get you down to the bank. Let's get a business loan going on so that y'all can get businesses going on in these communities and start to bring some pride to your community and start to let the children see examples of people doing things like themselves. Instead, this Jim Crow want to sit there and make the people think that because Walmart done closed up and other businesses are closing up and leaving, that now they have no more opportunity, that they can't do anything because the great white sugar done moved on. And this is the type of thing that we have to start to become aware of as a culture, as a people. And then this constituents should have just gathered around him while he was saying that. And then once they all cleared and everything, he should have just been laying there. We cannot allow this kind of talk to be done to us in this day and age and us sit here and act like we don't understand when somebody is talking down to us. That just can't happen. You know, that can't happen. And we supposed to be this brave, mighty people. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And we supposed to be this brave, mighty people who making all these rap songs about how we gonna kill him and kill Tim and kill them. And then we can't pay attention to a man standing there telling us that you in an area where they call it a food desert, where they saying that all of the stores are packing up and moving. I wish that the corner store would pack up and move in my community, because I sure enough opened up me a corner store. And who are these black men in this area that's not taking advantage of these opportunities, these black women that's not taking advantage of these opportunities? Everybody and their mama should be selling suppers. Somebody need to get themselves a food stamp swiper. Shit. But I'm going to tell you something. Anything that is valid, it should be able to face questions. And that's all I'm going to say about that situation. Anything that's valid, you should be able to ask somebody questions about it, and they should be able to answer the questions. So if that's so, why is the U.S. trying to bring homosexuality to the Bahamas, y'all? And then they don't want to, then they trying to get the people to not ask questions. They just want them to accept the books in their school and start teaching this in their school. And when the people ask questions, the U.S. representatives get upset. Then that means that what you're doing is not valid. What you're doing is on the slick side. On that's why you don't want nobody to ask no questions, because you can't answer none. All right? Tell y'all something that happened to me. I went on my Facebook page earlier today, only to see that Facebook then put me on restriction for 2 days. So I can't comment on no group stuff or do no thing like that, because there's a politician here in Louisiana that was talking about illegally disposing of human life, black life here in America, here in Louisiana, in an illegal manner. And I responded to that video by letting that bully know that if he thought that it was going to be a one-way street, he had another thing coming, that we would take this little third world state and there wouldn't be a blade of grass left or a tree standing. And because of that, I got censored where I can't comment in group stuff for 2 days, you know what I'm saying, and whatever else the restriction is. But if what I said got me a restriction, he should be banned off Facebook. Nothing else that he say should be able to be played on Facebook, because he was outright calling for illegal activity, you know what I'm saying, on innocent life. And he's an elected person. So people hear him and move. He got much more weight than me. Maybe 20 people see my show if I'm good. 10, you know what I'm saying, on average. So, you know, I'm going to tell you, back to the little subject at hand here. You see what they want is they trying to get the little people in Jamaica to accept, in the Bahamas, to accept that the little girl should have 2 mommies and the little boy should have 2 daddies. Now, if that was valid, we just finished talking about anything that is valid, you know, we can ask questions to it, right? So if you go to those 2 men and you say, who inseminated who, and who received, who got fertilized, and you had a 9-month pregnancy and delivered on when? And if they answer those questions, those 2 men, then you should be able to do a DNA test on that kid, and you should be able to do a DNA test on those 2 males. And one of those males should have gave him the X chromosome, and the other male should have gave him the Y chromosome, right? And we all know genetically that's impossible. The same thing if you go to that little girl and you ask the 2 women, which one of you inseminated who? You know what I'm saying? And when did you conceive and deliver? She won't be able to answer those questions or take the DNA test and show that everybody in this household shares the same DNA, because it is not based in fact. It's based in deception. It's based in confusion. It's all a lie. You know, I want you to know something. I have read Genesis, and trans are nowhere in creation. Nowhere. In conclusion, men, whether we accept it or not, we're in charge and responsible for the women and children. And if we don't step up to the plate and do what we held for, because we're the ones who've been charged with this responsibility, when the Creator does come back, and he's coming back as vengeance, we're going to be the ones that have to answer. So listen, my Cash App is $Gil Mutes. And if you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I want to shout out to the great Andrew Tate. You know, keep doing what you're doing. I want to shout out to Fresh and Fit and the Crimson Cure. So until next broadcast, I love you and I love everybody. Peace.
she getting work. Say all I'm qualified to do is rhyme and spit a verse. Get my feelings hurt every time I sit in church. Real talking dead at me, nigga got me feeling worse. So I ain't congregating about 7 or 8 months. Broke the promise made to myself and started back blazing blunts. I know that's crazy, huh? Feeling like a bad man. I look at me in the mirror, all I see is my dad, man.